more structure to the process, but also we proposed a public comment card. A lot of cities are starting to do that, where you sign up ahead of time and provide your what part of the agenda that you're interested in speaking at. That gives me an opportunity to make sure that I can communicate with you when on the agenda is the most appropriate time to speak. We will also have your contact information in case staff needs to follow up after a meeting. I can provide that comment. So that was a little bit of the intent about that. I know there was some concern if somebody comes in late to the meeting and misses that window for public comment sign up. How would we handle that? And obviously, that would be up to y'all, but we did propose that idea for your consideration.
Questions or comments?
Yes, sir. So there's quite a few. I like the cards and things like that, so we can gather information and follow up. I think that's an awesome idea. I think it's going to help out a lot. Where I had I would say a situation where I didn't like the fact that it seems like we are preventing people from speaking out. Almost, it's like there's one section in here where it says that any type a person that wants to come here and address the council as far as anything that was related to staff and things like that, it has to go to the city manager and it has to go through the human works director. I kind of felt like that's infringing on people's First Amendment rights, in my opinion, and I can't. That doesn't just sit well with me too much, to be honest with you. I'm not. It's not geared at you and things like that, but that's just one of the things that I was looking into. And then as far as like you have to address the mayor and the council. You can't address the person by the individual names and things like that. I don't think that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not certain, this may be a question for Randall, if we can legally do those type of things to try to tell people what they can and cannot say, within, as long as it's within, like, it's not causing any, I would say, disruptions or anything like that as far as, but would that be considered like almost like a infringement upon their First Amendment?
First of all, this is a work session.
Yes, sir.
So as a result, you don't have as much problems with work session as you do with a regular session. So that would be something I would want to look into.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, a lot of the provisions that are included in here came from neighboring municipalities. So there's not anything that was not pulled from a different city that's either been adopted by their mayor and council. This particularly, the majority of this came from Powder Springs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear your concerns. That's not the intent.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do just want to make sure that.
I mean, it could protect you as an individual as well. I mean, if somebody came in here with allegations against you that weren't true, that would be very unfair.
Yeah, I think as public officials that we are, that's going to happen. I see things that say online. It's going to happen.
Nobody knows better than me.
I see things online, and I, as I got older, I would say I'm not so fast to respond, so I just leave it alone. I mean, I think as public officials, that's going to come with this job that we're in. But I've seen with the ACLU, they have had issues with other cities as well from, they've been giving notice to other cities for these type of situations where you're violating people's First Amendment rights, in my opinion, when it comes to redressing their grievances with their government, and I think that to put restrictions upon who they can address, what they can talk about, now time, 3 minutes and things like that, so long as you're within the 3 minutes, you're not slandering as far as you're cursing someone out or using
That's why I believe it should be generic.
100%.
I mean, they should voice their concern. I don't think they should be able to call someone out by name, an individual on staff. He's got to protect staff. We have to protect staff. And I don't think, somebody getting up there saying, this person, blah, blah, by name, I don't want to hear that. I don't think that's infringing on their rights.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's about
First Amendment.
I don't think it's about what you want to hear, Mayor. I think it's about the First Amendment.
But-
the Constitution. It doesn't say, the First Amendment does
Okay,
not say.
I'm not gonna debate you.
Yes,
You
sir.
can voice your concerns. I'm not gonna debate First Amendment, but we're talking about a city council meeting where they're coming to you and if you're gonna take action, if it's not something that you're aware of, they're making you aware of it, and we can research it, we can look at it and go forward.
Yeah, but I think it's also given a lot of power to the council as far as if a citizen wants to say something that we don't agree with, we could potentially have
About an individual.
an individual.
An individual, they can say anything they want. They can say what they want,
So how
but I don't want them calling you out. I don't want them calling Madeline out or Tracy out. There's enough of that. If they have something to say, they can have public comment.
But I think myself, I'm a big boy. Tracy's a big girl. Madeline's a big girl, and we should be able to handle it, Mayor. To be honest with you, and I think
Just on a professional level.
Yeah, in a professional
Someone
level.
professional.
Yeah, I mean, I think because it gets to a point where if we take action to remove this person from this council, this chamber, we could be liable for a lawsuit and for infringing upon their rights. And this has happened in other cities, Mayor. And that's just me giving my opinion.
I'm not trying to,
Yeah, I understand. Same here. But I think it's a messy road to go down. It's a slippery slope.
And I think, if someone was deemed out of order, it wouldn't be for something like that. I mean, it would be if there's offensive or,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't know, nobody's
And we
suggesting.
haven't come
and
across that in this city.
this is just outlining what we'd like to see happen on the card, who they can address, what the topics are. Because if there is an issue that we're not aware of, then the staff member can reach back out to them, okay? Because we say, when they come to us with public comment, we're not under any obligation to answer that public comment.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we want to be able to reach back out. That's why, say what you want, but say it in a professional manner.
Exactly. But I mean, Jeff does a great job with his staff and things like that. But what happens after Jeff? We don't know what we're getting after Jeff. So
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said, so we don't know what's coming after Jeff. Jeff does a great job as far as with his staff and stuff like that, but we don't know what type of city manager we're going to get. He does a very good job with communicating us concerns and things like that he sees, but we don't know what the future may hold, So, and he's going to be time to retire. No offense and things like that. But I just think that we don't know what we're going to get next on, and if that information is going to be filtered to us like Jeff does, in the future councils, when a situation with staff comes up, he does let us know what's going on. And I just feel that we don't know what's going on. I think it's very vague to me. I don't like it. Doesn't sit well with me, personally.
Yeah, a couple of things, Mayor. I'm assuming the 6:20 cutoff is to give time to get.
Yes, to get it, but it's there's 30 minutes programmed for public comment. And if 3 people have signed up and somebody comes in late, you've got some time. You can allow that. But it's not, we're better than that. We're amenable to a lot of things. We really are.
Yeah, I was thinking instead of a 6:20 cutoff, maybe 6:30.
And that's fine, yeah, the 10 extra minutes was, in case there was an opportunity to clarify something with someone who provided some public comment. And really the intention is, I think mutual expectations of each other, right? Because I know a lot of times people come and they're not clear on when they're supposed to provide public comment. They know that they want to, but they don't know when. And also, that a lot of people have come up expecting a response from council, and when they don't get anything, it seems very dismissive, right? And we're trying to get in front of that and provide an avenue where people can be heard and understand that by filling out this card, we have your information, and we'll follow up with you if necessary, right? Just depending on the topic, and what's being needed, but we'll follow up with you. And so that's what that extra 10 minutes was for.
Yeah, I mean, I know like Cobb County, for example, they got their sign-up sheets, and if you're not on it,
Hard and fast.
and if you're not on it, and if you're not one of the first ones in, you're not even gonna get get in front of people. So I understand the idea. The other thing as far as comments, from the crowd.
Yeah, I was just looking at this.
People can say anything they want to us, and that kind of goes for Leah and Jeff too. I mean, but as far as them going after department heads or
Yes.
individual employees, I really find that out of order.
I do too, and just, no person shall make impertinent, derogatory, offensive, or slanderous remarks while addressing the mayor or city council. Okay? So they can have a gripe with us, but I really think going to staff, I agree with Pat, picking out somebody in the staff when it is off limits.
So do they just address that as the department?
They
or do
address it to mayor and council.
No, as far as like, so if they have an
Jeff
issue,
and the mayor.
Yeah.
so I mean, but if they have, let's say they have an issue with, let's say, Parks and Recs. No, Parks,
We all do.
do they address Bill, or
No.
they just say the public Parks and Recs director, or they just, so how would
They
they?
have an issue, if they have an issue with Parks and Rec, mayor and council, Dr. Drobny, we have an issue with Parks and Rec department, here's the situation, blah, 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 and that's it. They don't need to identify.
and
In one-on-one, we can't.
And we get that on a regular
Yes,
basis.
we do.
At our last meeting, that lady talked about some kind of drainage problem in her neighborhood. She addressed it
Perfect.
generally,
Yeah.
broadly.
It was perfect.
She didn't call out Ricky by name,
Right.
for example. So, I mean, there is a way, to say, hey, listen, I have this problem. It's a public works, police, whatever, without calling names, without, just really being an idiot.
Yeah.
So,
I think Leah, and I think the staff's done a great job at looking at this and putting it together. So that's the only thing that I want to emphasize. It's their opportunity to address mayor and council, Dr. Drobny and Leah at the same time, and get it out there. And then we can take it for further action. But
I think the public deserves that to be, clearly defined, so that they don't, it's important to have an understanding of, what the expectation is too, so that they can feel comfortable providing public comment beforehand.
Yes. And if you have one public comment section built in to the agenda at the front, Leah can guide them on when it's time. When is it the right time?
but are we talking about just having one public comment section, or are we still going
No,
to
we're
maintain
still
both
doing
of them?
two, but we can, when do I talk? When,
Yep.
go
And,
here.
and you usually do a good job at the beginning of the meeting saying, hey, if it's on the agenda, this is
Right,
the time,
but
blah, blah, blah.
some people don't understand, some people want to see it in writing, and I agree with that.
Yep.
So what happens is a person makes a mistake and do address a person by their title or their name, then we just,
correct it, and just move on.
Okay.
Just a gentle reminder.
okay.
Personally, I would like to see us have a provision in there where when they come up to speak, they either tell us they're a Kennesaw resident or a business owner.
Yes.
Because we get a lot of people from the outside here who aren't paying taxes. They can't vote here. Why are they having a say about how we're running our city?
So at the front, on top of the public comment card, after their name and all, are you a Kennesaw resident?
Because you're coming from a different direction. Your opinion doesn't mean as much to me as the people who are paying taxes, who vote for us, who live here, who run a business here. They do it in Woodstock.
To clarify, what I think you're saying is not to preclude them from
They can
making
speak.
a comment.
Speak.
We just need to know
We
where
just
they're
need to
coming
know.
from.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also I wanted to ask, I didn't see it in here if it is, but the ability to still allow people who are late to come in if there's not.
You have a 30-minute window. Okay,
Okay.
10 comments at 3 minutes apiece. If you have time remaining, anybody that wasn't able to sign up can speak.
Okay, so let's say, so I didn't see, I didn't see
No,
that.
we're gonna make that change.
Oh, okay, but
Leah and I talked about it earlier,
would
because it is
that
30 minutes.
mean that,
And going to 6:30 instead of 6:20.
So in the instant that we have a meeting where there's a lot of interest for public comment, then if we have a lot of people wanting to sign up, are we still gonna cap it?
Yes, if there appears to be multiple people wanting to say the same thing about the subject, we would allow one or two people to speak, consolidate the responses, maybe for 3 or 5 minutes, take that 3 to 5 minutes, saying you have all these people that feel this way. Because, you can hear the same thing from 20 people.
I had to think about how I feel about that, just because from the perspective of when there is something big that draws a large amount of people to want to come voice their opinion, part of that drive, I'm assuming, because I've felt this way, is just to show up in numbers, to say that this many people and this many, I'm one
These
of,
people are
this
willing
many
to speak.
people would like to speak.
Right.
But,
You can consolidate a response, or, you can have 3 or 4 people. I don't know why not. You can set a certain amount of time by. And we voted before to allow additional time for people. We've done that. A couple of instances.
Yeah, I mean, Madeline, there's been, I don't think you've been through one of these long, hour-long zoning things.
not on this side. That side.
After about the first 2, 3, maybe 4 speakers, everybody after them says the same thing. And it just, it doesn't benefit the discussion. It doesn't benefit anything for the same I've seen people show up with pieces of paper, and they all read from the same doggone piece of paper, all said the same thing. I mean, that's.
I understand that, and I can appreciate
There's flexibility.
consolidation. Yeah, flexibility would be good, because sometimes where I've sat on the other side of wanting to be the person to make a public comment that is very similar to maybe a lot that have been already said before, but the way that I want to say it matters, because this is the way that I want to say it.
And Pat has said, Mayor, I think we could allow additional time for, whatever. And that's what.
It really comes down to the discussion and the testimony they're giving. I mean, if it's a very complicated type of thing, well, there might be 5 or 6 different people that actually have good, valid information that's different from the other speakers.
Right.
But one thing we'll pass over the years, if it's like a homeowners association, for example, where the whole neighborhood's against something, we ask them to do one person, like the homeowner association president or whatever, to present the case. Because homeowner associations, you hear, well, I just don't like it. And it just, you hear the same thing over and over, so,
The only other thing that I wanted to mention that we talked about a little bit earlier was, I was interested in seeing if there's a way to expand have an online option for signing up for public comment if you cannot make it in that time frame, whether that's something that we see examples of other cities doing successfully that we could.
We do have the email option too, where they can
Yeah, but
send us
that's
email.
not to
be in there.
to secure your spot
See
to
if we can-
speak.
Sandy Springs has a online public comment form. Theirs are just required, prior to the meeting beginning. That way we can collect that information and have that, if somebody can't make it between that 6 to 6:30.
They could submit the same card, and then just as long as that they're present for the time.
Right, they
being.
would be called, and it would just be a matter of whether or not they were physically present.
Yes, okay.
But that would be the intent of that, if that's.
So let me review
Yeah.
what,
Absolutely.
so 6 to 6:30, change the time to 6 to 6:30. We're gonna limit it to the entire public comment section at 30 minutes. That's 10 speakers at 3 minutes apiece. Additional time, we're flexible. And there are two more. Incorporate, whether they're a Kennesaw resident or business owner. And 4, allow the online email registration.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll look at that and we'll bring that back so it'll stay where it is right now.
When you say 30 minutes, 10
It's-
people speak for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Is that all on the same topic
No,
Okay.
that's the public comment
section?
section. Okay?
And people can also provide public comment if they haven't
Yes.
signed up.
That's correct. Because we're allow that flexibility. I mean, we're not trying to, we want people to speak.